We're here at Levi's Stadium down in Santa Clara on a Friday, and look who we caught up to. Guy Haberman's in the house, and he'll be on the call Sunday, sitting in for Greg Papa again. Greg, we love you, brother, and glad to see you're back on the radio, and we're thrilled that you'll be back behind the mic at some point, and Guy's doing a phenomenal job filling in. And what's it like? What's it like? You filled in, you had a week off, or a couple weeks off, or I should say, to kind of do your other projects. I mean, obviously, if you could have done all of these, you would have, but you have other things that you do. What was that first experience like, sitting in an NFL regular season game?
It was fun in Seattle. And it was great to hear Greg, by the way, because he sounds like Greg.
Yeah.
It's great to hear him, talk to him, whatever. So that was fun this week. But Seattle was cool. You know, everyone tells you what a great environment it is.
Right.
And it was. I was very excited for that game. Don't get me wrong. I think I'm more excited for a home game, though, you know, to do it here and see the Niners at home and first home game of the year, that kind of thing. It's kind of cool. So there's some pageantry to that, you know, so I'm excited about that.
T-Rock, what's it like working with T-Rock? Because I think he's the best color analyst in the biz. I got in the elevator in New Orleans, and Tim got on last, and there's all these other people. I'm like, this is the greatest color analyst in the entire league. He started laughing. He started giving me crap. But what's it like working with a guy who's so high energy, but also really does, as a former player, he really does see the game, and he gives you some amazing anecdotes.
Yeah, well, he's awesome, and you're right. I mean, it's like he's excellent what he does. I didn't know him before we started working together. Also, I don't know if you would like me saying this, a very sweet man. Like a really sweet guy. But as you know, like you were a football guy. Like you scouted, you worked in football for a long time. I've done this for a long time in terms of like college football, and you go to the facility and you meet so many people, and it really is the best part. There's so many people who are like true football people, and I think true football people are just, they're people in a lot of ways, right? You work with so many different people, you play with so many different people, you interact with so many different people, and he's a people person. I think first, just like Greg is a people, like they're people, and in addition to being like hardcore football guys. Which is fun, because I just learned, I can call Tim for 10 minutes, be like, hey, what do you think of the matchup? And it's just like boom, 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 boom. And so I've learned a lot from him. You know, my football knowledge is small. Like I'm a football guy, but like I don't know what I'm looking at. The way, like you could put a headset on Tim and he'd go call some defense.
Sure.
Greg could go call some plays. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
right. And
I couldn't do that.
If you gave Greg the opportunity, he would take it.
I think Al Davis almost did, but I can't do that. So like everything I get is I'm just learning a lot. You know, learning a lot every week, which is awesome.
Well, it's been fun to listen to. Tell us, give me your thumbnail sketch. A couple thoughts on Niners Cardinals as we sit down here a couple days before the matchup. What stands out to you about this matchup on Sunday?
Well, two teams that are 2-0 that haven't played their best football. I don't think the Niners have played their best football, but like you can see their trend. Arizona, better defensive line than the Saints last week. So if it's Mac, which at this point, we haven't heard from Kyle yet Friday, but that,
I think it's got to be Mac, yeah.
So that becomes a little more of a challenge, even though they're challenged in their secondary with injuries, and we'll see how many of their guys are playing. You know, they're still trying to figure it out on offense. Marvin Harrison doesn't really touch the football. And, like, that's been a big question. I know you watched, like, Jonathan Gannon's media availability this week and all that stuff. Like, they were asking him, how do you get Marvin the ball? His answer was, well, you got to throw it to it and catch it. You got to throw it to him, he's got to catch it. So Kyler, you know, is a problem. He's been a problem for everybody. He is historic. He's historic when it comes to throwing the football and running. You know, it's like Cam Newton historic and Josh Allen historic. He's historic. But I think the Niners, I'm excited to see if their added team speed this year on defense helps them against Kyler Murray. It should. You know, does it translate this week? Because if you get to 3-0, in a 17-game season, now we're talking about, you know, you go 500 the rest of the way, you're in the playoffs. You would think, right? So if you accept that like 10 wins put you in, which I think it does in the NFC this year. So I think that's like, there's a lot on this game from that standpoint. And even if you lose, the team that loses is 2-1 and they're fine too. But I think the Niners have played better football to this point. Arizona's been a really good team in the first three quarters. Their point differential is number one in the league. And then in the fourth quarter, they've had some problems. So that's probably on there as well. It's just a fun Mac Jones. I would say...
in the all whites. I'm looking forward to the all whites. That's going to be a great look.
That's cool. I would say, like, as I'm talking it through and just thinking about it, the number one thing is my overarching question this team is this defense really good? Like, can this defense be really good? You know, and I think this is another week. They haven't played great offenses, but they've been good. Now, they've had some holes, but it's a great test to find out.
All right, this 49er football season on the Krug Show is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and, of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy, where you choose 2 to 8 players, pregame or live, and pick more or less on their projections. And if you're new to it, this is how it works. You use the promo code Larry, Larry, and you're going to get a $100% deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. So the link is right there in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. I think Robert Saleh, one of the things I'm looking for in this game is how does Robert Saleh rush Kyler? Do they play a lot of games up front or do they stay away from that? Because sometimes when you play games up front, you give that quarterback the real lane, the rush lane, and Kyler can take it, you know, he can do a house call off that rush lane. So how do they rush him? How do they, if they send extra rushers, 4 and 5 and 6 man blitzes, who's coming? You know, a lot of the times with smaller guys, they say the best way to blitz them is to blitz them with smaller people because a corner is going to be able to break down in space and he won't be able to, you know, Kyler can't shake him. Where if you got a big body there, even if he's right in his grill, he might be able to shimmy and shake him and get out of there. So do they blitz him with smaller guys? Do we see Upton Stout in the backfield?
Yeah.
I'm looking for that to see exactly. Cool. So I think Saleh is a major step up from Sorensen. No offense to Sorensen, but Saleh is just an experienced hand, and you can see the confidence. And third down, I think we're really seeing it, and that's what I'm looking for in this game. Do the Niners, can they keep them, you know, corralled within the pocket? Do they give them any avenues? And if they blitz them, who's coming?
How do you think Robert's different this year than he was the last time he was here?
I just think that when you've had the heat of the brunt of the New York media, that everything just seems very no sweat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
I think he's just he's very resilient as far as us, you know, as far as we're concerned, and the questions and all that may, you know, because they wore on Sorensen last year. You could see it's like, you know, he was not enjoying those press conferences. And Saleh walks in, he's got a smile on his face. He's very at ease. He's very comfortable with himself. He has all the answers.
I think he sees the potential in this defense.
Yeah, he's bringing it out.
But he's not doing the same, right? It's like, it's different. It's not just Robert Saleh pulling it back to 2019, the Gus influence. Like, that'll be interesting as the year goes on. You know, how are they different? The big nickel last week, I would imagine we'll see more of that. It was cool.
It got Jair Brown on the field.
Yeah, and it got Jair on the field. Now, I don't know if he's the guy to pressure Kyler with.
Right.
But Arizona does it too. I mean, these two teams are at the top of the league in the percentage of the receptions that go to the tight ends and the running backs. Arizona's number 1. Yards caught. For their offense, it goes to tight ends and running backs. And similar to the Niners.
Yeah.
So, you know, they've been doing the big nickel thing too in Arizona, the third safety. I don't know. It's a fun game. The other thing is, historically, the Cardinals are good this time of year and bad at the end of the year. Kyler kind of
get off to hot starts, huh?
And they started slow under Jonathan. It feels like they've kind of found something, just like they've raised their floor. Mm-hmm. I think under Gannon. But you know, the environment's on your side now. New Orleans and Seattle. If you think the last 25 years, the places the Niners play, those are two of the hardest places they play. So I'm excited. I mean, somebody is going to be 3-0 and walk out of this building like feeling pretty amazing because they will have, you know, they played some games they could have lost.
Last one for you. Appreciate your time, by the way. It's awesome to sit down with Guy Haberman. Mikael Williams. Give me your thoughts on Mikael Williams. I'll freely admit I was not a Mikael Williams fan on draft day. I just saw kind of a big, strong defensive end, but didn't have a lot of moves. And I thought, you know, this guy's you have to have moves to win in the NFL. And then I didn't realize the vision that they had for him, which was, hey, look, see him as a first and second down run defender. He has been awesome in that regard. The numbers really reflect it. And then the Niners are using him inside as an interior guy on third down, and it's just like he's playing a ton of snaps, way more snaps he played at Georgia, and he looks better and better and better, and ideally suited for both roles, especially with Huff creating that extra edge rush speed, stretching the line out. There's a lot more room inside for Gross Matos and Mikel, and they are crushing these guards with that extra space. I love that NASCAR set they have.
Yeah. I thought he was a high ceiling guy when they got him. I didn't realize he was a high floor. He's a high floor guy.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't expect that. I thought it'd be like, all right, project, let's see what it can be. And it's immediately been high floor, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you get on the field as a young player. And then this week in particular, if Collins is on the field a lot, those two guys interior, their size for Kyler to see over is a challenge. But I've just been really impressed with his discipline as a passer. He doesn't seem like he's out of place. He seems like he is giving the Niners edge rusher, specifically Bosa, a good compliment. You know, I feel like Bosa has been around the quarterback a ton this year. I don't know if you feel that way, but I think the numbers do reflect that. And I think part of it is there's less room to operate, to move opposite of Bosa, because that tackle is getting pushed into you if it's Mikel over there. So I was optimistic about him, but I've been pleasantly surprised at how immediately he has brought just like every down or nearly every down consistency. He's been consistent.
Yeah. One advantage that we get a little bit over the fans is that we get to go to practice. And one of the things that you see at practice pretty consistently, they'll do some reps, and then Bosa comes over to Mikel, and they're talking. And sometimes Bosa will be pointing and like, try this, try that, you know, as far as hand placement or coordinating your hands and your feet. And you can see Nick is very invested in the young guys, and they obviously look up to him. He's like an additional coach, but in some ways a better player, better than a coach, because he's literally your teammate, and you can see them kind of going up to him, kind of gathering the information that he's got and trying to apply it. So those are good things.
Yeah. You know, not everybody can, like you and I can go get tips from Nick Bosa.
It won't help.
But it can help Mikel, so that's cool.